She is the only African American owned CrossFit gym in Baltimore City. She's more than that. Sure, you might think she's a gym rat. You might think she's just Miss Fitness. No, she's also smart. We're going to get into that. Jeanelle Spencer is our guest today, and I had the privilege of actually interviewing her on Be More Lifestyle. Actually, on Fox 45, the feature is So Baltimore, and I was surprised we're actually in the city. Yes, imagine that. We're in the city. Imagine that. Right down the street. I thought of Eartha. I saw her. I was like, hey, I got this. I want to do an interview with you. And it's right down the street. She's like, well, Mark, I actually have a class on Mondays at 6, but I'll cancel it for the interview. I was like, what? I said, you're going to meet Eartha. Now, Eartha's going to tell you what you need to do. So just listen to her and blink twice if you need to come rescue her. And not only she got Eartha, Lou, she got everybody. She got the table over there. She got the table of elders.
Like being at home.
Right.
You gave him a good day.
Because when I have people come in, I got to make sure. It's almost like when you invite people to your family house. Can they handle Big Mama? Can they handle Big Mama? Because some people I'll be like, nah, I ain't gonna have you. Other people I'll be like, and then other people surprise us. Yeah. Actually, like I said, every time. So I haven't been here in a couple in a minute. I used to do it every Monday for a time, and then once the first Monday. And so you're the first. I'm back. We're back. But what's happened is almost like I call it magical because it's just like I feel it might be the home family vibe, but people come in and share. We had Sheila Dixon come in. We had Catherine Pugh come in. And people were very candid and very comfortable. Mm-hmm. I think everybody has been almost like totally comfortable in sharing. I think maybe, right? So let's start with your beginning.
Now you got me nervous.
Well, and
you trying to get people fit.
Well, in the hood.
Yeah, in the hood.
And she actually, she's in a temporary space because the other space, they playing with it now. Why are they playing with it? They're playing with it because a young black woman owning this space is too strong on on York Road in that area. Is it too big of and CrossFit is not just for black folks. CrossFit's for everybody. And she's already having that kind of impact where people in those expensive houses down the street are coming over. So maybe we don't want that to be the face of CrossFit because that's too powerful. Maybe it might inspire some other young people to say, you know what? Because if so-and-so's on York, Earth is on York Road too now. Now wait a minute, that's right down the street. That's down the street. I told you to keep Earth off that building. So let's go back, right? Let's take it back to little Jeanelle. Well, you're still little, but I'm just saying.
We're gonna go all the way back.
So how did you get into fitness? And how did you become this entrepreneur? And you also have another job that you do too. So tell us about that. Where'd you go to school? What were your interests when you were a young person? Did you always want to own a business?
So no, I didn't always want to own a business. I grew up in New Orleans and I liked sports. I liked playing. I was super athletic, so I played all the sports in school. And I went to Howard University. That brought me to DC from New Orleans. I ran track, walked onto the track team. I was a sprinter. So I've always been into fitness. I've always been just amazed by what the body can do and looking for a challenge to get stronger and push the limits even further.
Now wait a minute, hold up. You from New Orleans now. I ain't never been nobody from New Orleans who can't cook and don't know good music and can't drink.
Oh my goodness.
Is that
call me out. All those things are true.
Is that right? If you ever been anybody from New Orleans, everybody from New Orleans can drink, knows good music, and
dance too, yeah.
It might be one more, but I'm not going to say that because it's a family show.
They give our pacifiers and beer. We learned early. Yeah, New Orleans is an amazing place. You go there, and whether you're from there or not, you feel home. You feel like yourself.
That's right, baby.
That's right.
And so from New Orleans, graduate, what did you major in at Howard?
Chemistry.
Oh, wait a minute, y'all. Come on now.
What you mean?
Chemistry.
Making that crawfish season.
That crawfish. And also, New Orleans has a rich history of black schools. St. Aug's.
St. Aug's, St. Mary's,
Yeah.
2 HBCUs, 3 HBCUs, Xavier, Dillard, and SUNY, Southern University of New Orleans.
And the irony of New Orleans is, some of you people are our age. You're too young to remember Bryant Gumbel, right? And how we used to call Bryant Gumbel how he was so white. But what folks didn't realize was he went to St. Aug. He was from New Orleans, and he started off at a black magazine, a black sports magazine. So even in our own community, again, what we do to ourselves, we tear each other down, not even knowing. We see people on the scene and we think that's how they arrived on the scene. No, he started at a black sports magazine and became Bryant Gumbel. And that thing about him, being from New Orleans, but also being one of the first, regardless of color, sports journalists to cross over to news. And he did a amazing job. I think we don't be giving him the flowers. We don't understand. Howard Cosell, the late Howard Cosell.
It was Howard Cosell.
Howard Cosell. He envied him because back then you did not segue in from sports to news, and that's what Howard Cosell wanted to do. But he gave credit to the African American Bryant Gumbel, who had the afro and all that stuff. But anyway. Sidelight, you can see
nobody teaches you how to navigate that. If you're a black person entering into a predominantly white environment, everybody's trying to survive. Everybody's trying to do their best.
That's true. It's a whole thing we don't talk about. For those who succeed at it, sometimes we don't give them their credit. Back to my friends, I'm talking about Stanton, same thing. So here he went to St. Aug, black Catholic school in New Orleans. Went to Howard. Was in black radio. So his whole early time was black. Then he had to go out to ESPN. That was the first time he ever dealt with the dynamic of being the only black guy. And that's a whole different culture shock.
Yeah.
The dynamics, the pecking order, all that kind of thing, how to act, how not to act, whatever. But anyway, so did you have any of that coming out of Howard? So basically, that was kind of your thing. You were in an all-black environment a long time.
Yeah. But in New Orleans, I went to Ben Franklin High School, which was a predominantly white. It's a public school, predominantly white. And I don't remember. In my mind, I feel like I have good memories. I ran track. I played basketball. I was a cheerleader. I had lots of friends. I had good experiences. But my mom says because a lot of kids were going to LSU or they were going to Ivy League schools, and I told her, I need to be with my people. And I went to Howard. I got a scholarship. The first scholarship that I got was from the University of Alabama. And my mom was so excited. And I was like, I'm not going there.
Bama, roll tide.
It's like, I'm not. They gave me an amazing package. And Howard's package actually came, it was the last acceptance I got. It was the last scholarship I got. But I was holding out. That's where I wanted to go. It was the only HBCU I applied to. And for whatever reason, I told her I want to be with my people because I knew that was like my only and my last opportunity for that kind of experience.
That's interesting how you knew that. Also, that you turned down Alabama. You must have been good now. Wait a minute now. You messing with your D1s? Was it track?
Well, it's academic.
Oh, you're
academic
genius. You're a genius. Okay, so this explains all of it. You're a genius and you're an athlete.
I'm smart.
Yes. Something I've never said. I love it. That's why I went to Lincoln Land Community College. I was not smart. That's awesome. So let me ask you that: being smart and knowing you're smart as a young black girl, was that okay with you? Did anybody try to diminish that, or were you always met with fairness and?
I feel like I had a good experience. Of course, there's always like, you think you're so smart. Well,
Uncle Teddy, yes I am.
They tell me that all the time. I said,
you say it right.
Now wait a minute. Now hold up now, Rita. Now what now?
They say to me all the time, you think you know everything. That's what I do. I might not be smart, but I do everything. Go ahead.
But you and I talked about this. That's where I feel like I had to learn the interpersonal skills because nobody likes to know it all. So even if you are smart, even if you know something, that doesn't mean you always need to go around telling people what you know and contradicting people. Like you don't always have to be the teacher. You know.
We were talking about the Amanda Seals interview, and Amanda Seals just interviewed with
Jeanelle.
Sharp. And that's the thing, like you said, if you say you're smart, if you go around saying you're smart, then especially with us, they don't
And
like
even
that.
like your friends and family, we could go around correcting them or teaching them something all the time, but nobody likes that.
When did you figure that out?
I feel like I figured it out early.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also just like naturally quiet. So if someone didn't ask me, I was kind of okay with letting people believe what they believe. Unless it was something really egregious, then I would try to gently say, well, I read this, or I would give them the information so that maybe they can learn.
That's great. That's a great note. I think a lot of us don't know how to do. And sometimes, like you said, it's not taught, so you just have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so what was your path after you graduated from Howard?
After Howard, that's when I came to Baltimore. So I applied to graduate schools because I figured out that I wanted to do research and get a PhD because I love learning. I wanted to be a professional student. That's what I wanted my job to be. And so that's the PhD. You study, you learn everything there is to learn about a particular topic, and then you keep learning if you stay in academia. So I applied to several different graduate schools, and when I came to Baltimore, even though I had been in DC for 4 years, I'd never come to Baltimore. But when I came to Baltimore for that visit, for the interview, I felt like I was at home.
You found your people.
I found my people. I love
You're
home.
vulnerable. There you go. You saw these people, right? Come on, man. That's what I'm saying.
It felt like New Orleans. It felt like home. And so, what you know about the Night Ward? What? That's where my family's from. Night Ward. But yeah, so I came to Baltimore. I did my PhD at Hopkins. I went back to DC for a brief stint.
John Hopkins. Say that again.
PhD in molecular biology at Johns Hopkins School of Medicine.
Come on now, I can't even say that.
So then after that, I went to NIH. I did my postdoctoral research at NIH at the National Cancer Institute. And I was there for a few years before I eventually left the bench and went into medical education and medical communication, which is where I currently work in that field.
Medical communication. Tell me, what is that? Tell us what that is.
So pharma companies, biotech companies, they're doing research, right? They're trying to develop new drugs, they're trying to develop new medical devices, and they do clinical trials, they do studies, they have all this data, and they need to disseminate the data. They need to communicate this data to doctors, nurses, patients. This is like on a commercial where they're marketing to you. This is just getting the facts out. And so to do that, they work with agencies who employ writers like myself and scientists like myself, and we help them craft the message. We help them tailor their data to different audiences so that it can be received and understood.
Wow, that's heavy. That's
And when I was doing research, I didn't think about this because I was doing the research. I was the person doing the research, and I was so into it. But of course now I understand. Of course you need somebody to explain what the research is and what the data show and what it means for their patients. It's a whole field, and I love it.
And man, who better to train you than somebody that actually knows everything about your body, how to explain it. So when we train with you, we are really getting above and beyond quality level trainer that's rare.
Yeah.
Look at that. So come on. So we definitely gonna have to do a trip down to the gym
We already got a
That's
schedule.
Oh, it's already scheduled?
We scheduled.
Well played. Don't eat your gaseous foods that day. Okay? Because we are people of a certain age.
Is that what happened?
And that room gonna be lit. So how did you get into the business of business?
Business of business. I have to figure out what to call myself, but I'm, as a writer, we think of writers being in their space, writing by themselves. I'm very comfortable in that environment. I work from home, I like being in the background, even doing research. The person doing the research in the lab, they're not the person that you see when you go to the doctor's office. I'm comfortable being in the background. So I'm a bit of a reluctant entrepreneur. I just felt, I saw this need and nobody was doing it. And I felt like I had to. So I started doing CrossFit in 2015. I worked with a trainer, a black guy. He was studying to be a CrossFit trainer. He was a trainer at Crunch, a gym in Friendship Heights in DC. And so that was sort of my first introduction to CrossFit. He was like, oh, it's super cool. I'm learning this. And he trained me and I liked the workouts. So then when I moved back to Baltimore, I joined a CrossFit gym here. And I was at that CrossFit gym for 4 or 5 years. And almost immediately, I felt like we need this in a black neighborhood. Why aren't there more black people here? Baltimore is a predominantly black city. The gym, of course, was in a predominantly white neighborhood because that's how Baltimore is. And it turns out all the other CrossFit gyms in the city were in predominantly white neighborhoods. So I'm like, okay, I think CrossFit is fantastic. Like the community, how it becomes ingrained in your lifestyle. You go to the gym, you hang out with your friends, you work out, you listen to music, you socialize there, and you get your fitness. And you're in a community of people that all have similar goals in terms of healthy eating and strength building and just living a robust life. But they were all in predominantly white neighborhoods.
Living a robust life. I love that line. I think we have to tap into that, and I think a lot of us are not living robust lives. We live sad lives. We live limited lives. We live lives. We stop
We
dreaming.
live powerful lives.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
Powerful lives. My life is powerful. I don't know about y'all.
Right. Well, I think tapping in, especially at a certain age, you can't let life beat you down. And
You can't. Most people are scared. Two things that hold you back is fear and the lack of knowledge. Fear and the lack of knowledge.
And then I think also many of us were never taught that we have control and we should live robust lives. You deserve a robust life. You deserve everything you desire. We're not really taught that. And so I think getting over that hump, it can be hard. But I'm sorry, go ahead. So putting it in the neighborhood was important to you.
Yes, putting it in the neighborhood was important to me because I felt like, where something is located, if the CrossFit gym is in a predominantly white neighborhood and all of the people who go to the gym, or most of the people who go to the gym are white, you can't say, oh, it's racist. Because that's just where it is and that's the people who live there. But why isn't there a gym in a black neighborhood?
Good question. Should be answered.
I put one there. Now we have one.
Yeah,